Okay, due process as it relates to the criminal defendant. There are many. I- the Fifth Amendment in the United States in the Constitution lays out indictments by a grand jury, but that only applies to the federal level. The grand jury is a little different from a petite jury. Grand jury is where you have federal courts assembling a group of people and a prosecutor presenting evidence to decide whether or not there's enough evidence for that person to be able to be charged. At the state level, that doesn't happen. You have to what you have is an indictment, and the prosecutor will present evidence or tell the judge there's evidence to go ahead and charge this person. The judge will make that determination, and then that person will plead. So what happened was over the course of time is that states weren't uniformly following the Fifth Amendment and only applied to federal cases. So you had things like, and I'm gonna advance this a little bit here, things like indictment by grand jury, double jeopardy, self-incrimination. You don't have you don't have to testify against yourself, not be tried twice for the same crime, right to an impartial jury, informed of your charges, confronting your accusers. All of these rights that we take for granted that we're going to talk a lot more extensively about, um, were laid out in the Fifth and Sixth Amendment, but up until a series of court cases that we're going to look at, it didn't apply to the states. So finally, the Supreme Court, after the passage of the 14th Amendment, which is one of the Civil War amendments, 13, 14, 15, it basically the purpose was to protect newly freed African Americans, but it evolved to protect other classes by classification of gender, age, defendants. So basically, the Supreme Court over the course of time has used the 14th Amendment to apply to state governments. How has it done this? Two different ways. This is maybe one of the most important things we do in this class, at least in my view. Substantive due process. This is where the Supreme Court and other courts evaluate the validity and constitutionality of the law. So basically, does it hold up to following the Bill of Rights? Does it hold up to following procedures in the court system and in the legal system? Procedural due process, again, is the laws about how to arrest, charge, and convict someone. So this is your basic, starting with writ of habeas corpus, which I'll talk about in a minute. At Fifth Amendment, Sixth Amendment, Eighth Amendment, Fourth Amendment against search and seizure, which we'll talk more about. So substantive, this is this is the conceptual idea. Is the law constitutional? And then procedural, are the states following proper legal procedures? A series of court cases in the 1960s led the Supreme Court to apply criminal due process to the states. Previously, it had just been, okay, well, the Bill of Rights, specifically Amendments 4 through 8, applied only to the national government. Now it applies to the state governments, and it's done because of the 14th Amendment. It's through the power of the 14th Amendment, substantive and procedural due process.